Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we have Divya here who's recently got into HPE as an intern plus FTE. So she's here to share her interview experience with us. So before talking to her, let's just look at the eligibility criteria. So the eligibility criteria was that CSE, IT and circuit branches, 70% or 7 CGPA in 10th and 12th and 70% or 7 CGPA above in the pursuing degree with no standing arrears. So now let's go ahead and talk to Divya. She's here to tell us. Hi Divya, welcome to my channel.
Hi.
Firstly, congratulations on your placement.
Thank you. Thank you. Same to you.
Thank you. So would you like to introduce yourself first?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Divya Kannan and I'm currently in my fourth year of BTech Electronics and Computer Engineering at VIT Chennai. And I bagged an internship plus full-time offer at HPE, that is Hewlett Packard Enterprise. And my internship has started in January, which will go on till mid-July, after which I will continue as a full-time at HPE.
Okay, okay. Thank you. And now you can tell us about your interview process, how many rounds were there, and what they comprised
Okay.
of.
Sure. So first of all, we had criteria to apply for HP. After which we got shortlisted for the test, which was the online test round.
Okay.
It had basically three parts. The first being aptitude, which is almost there in every company test. So it had some basic aptitude questions, and aptitude can be practiced on Geeks for Geeks, like it's the best platform I feel.
Okay.
Second part is what's the technical part. So technical part was a little tricky. It had MCQs from concepts like operating systems, OOPS, networking, and some basic questions about Linux commands.
Okay.
And some of the questions were very different, like we might not have come across them ever in our curriculum. So it was a little difficult.
Okay.
Then there was the coding round. The coding round, as much as I remember, had 3 questions, out of which we had to attempt any 2.
Okay.
So we were not shown the questions. We just had to randomly choose any 2 and solve them.
Oh, okay.
So both the questions, I would say, it was of medium difficulty. It was fine. With the help of more inbuilt functions, the codes were easier to solve.
Okay. Okay.
So for me, the codes ran and the aptitude was also good. Technical was average because technical MCQs were a little difficult. So after this round, after the test, around 60 people were shortlisted for the next interview.
Okay.
For the interviews. So on the day of the interview, first we had a pre-placement talk in which they told us about HPE and how the whole interview process will function. After which the technical round started. So basically the interview comprised of 3 rounds and it worked on a basis like if you qualify one round, you'll go on to the second round.
Okay.
It was like that. So there were 3 rounds. The first was the technical round, which was scheduled for 1 hour.
Okay.
So yeah, so there were 2 interviewers in the panel, and like this was more of this round didn't the interviewers didn't expect me to code and show them and solve some stuff. Nothing of such sort.
Okay.
They first made me feel a little comfortable, and then they asked me to briefly explain about my resume. So brief description about whatever I had put on my resume, including the previous internship that I had done in another company and the projects that I had done. So as and when I was going through those topics, they were cross-questioning me and asking me like, how did you do this? And many of my projects were ML based.
Okay.
So I got a lot of ML based questions. And then they asked me like which programming language I was comfortable with. And then like some basic programming concepts they were asking. And then HPE as a company, like when I went through some company archives of like previous questions that were there, that have been asked for so many years, I found that they look into operating system and networking a lot. So they expect the candidate to know at least the basics of these 2 topics. So, as I expected, they asked me questions related to operating systems, networking, and very basic, like questions like what is bootstrapping, even that they were asking.
Okay.
And then they jumped on to what I like. So they asked me which kind of technology I'm into, what I like. So because I like cybersecurity more, they started asking questions related to that as well.
Okay.
So types of phishing, how can we prevent cases from being there and stuff. Then they gave me they explained a few scenarios, some technical scenarios wherein they expected me to give some solution and like how I would proceed with it. So basically they were judging my thought process, like how I'm able to analyze the question and give some solution.
Okay.
So that happened for an hour. So with this the technical round ended, after which I got the link for managerial round. Now this round was half an hour long, and this was a one-on-one conversation with one interviewer.
Okay.
So this again was like the technical round itself, just shorter. In this again I had to explain what I had mentioned in my resume, just a brief description. Then they again, that panelist asked me like what I had done in my project, what I know about ML and stuff. Then again he asked me like which kind of technology I am into and stuff. So that was a repeat. This interviewer asked me a very basic coding question, which was binary search. So he asked me to code it, and the platform that was used, that I had been using for the interview, was such a platform that if I code, it will automatically be visible to them. So I didn't have to screen share or anything.
Yeah.
So I coded. I just had to explain them. They didn't expect me to run it and show. I just explained what I had done, and they probably wanted to see like which method I'm using, if it's optimal enough or not.
Okay.
After that, he simply asked me to talk about operating systems for 2 minutes. So I just had to like tell him whatever I knew from the basics, what all things there are, simple things. And then he asked me to explain a few things about the OSI model in networking.
Okay.
So so what are the 7 layers, and apart from that, like little explanation about them. And then a general conversation about how much I know about HPE, and then he also explained me a few things like what to look out in HPE and stuff.
Okay.
So he explained that to me. Then he also told me that if I qualify this round, I'll get the link for the HR round.
Okay.
So again, I got the link for the HR round, which was 15 minutes long.
Okay.
So I would say that it was even shorter. It was scheduled for 15 minutes, but the interview had like very few questions for me.
Okay.
So she again basically asked me to give a brief explanation about my resume. So brief explanation about my resume was common in all the 3 rounds. I had to repeat it again and again. And then she asked me a few questions like whether I am willing to relocate, and like why I want to join the company, and whether I am going to pursue higher studies and so on.
Okay.
And with that the interview ended. And the next day we got the results, and the results were like I think around 10 people were finally selected to into HP out of the initial 60 people.
Okay.
So and I got an internship plus full-time offer, and some people also got internship only. So like they so for them it will be converted later on.
Okay. Thank you for sharing your experience. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
Okay, so do you have any suggestions for people who want to get into HP?
So first of all, as I said repeatedly, OS and networking are really important to get into HP.
Okay.
And I would suggest like all the people who are watching this video, like they should always go through the company archives. Like if they get shortlisted for any interviews, they should always go through what the company has been asking in the past few years, and that will give a great idea about what they are looking for in the candidate, and you can prepare accordingly. Another thing is that in general I would like to say that this candidate should be aware about what kind of role they want and what kind of company they are looking for.
Okay.
Be wise when you are applying for the companies, and also be like very confident, never lose hope, because many times you might face rejection. And there's a point when you feel like you might not get anywhere, but that's not the case. You just have to prepare well, be confident, and hope for the best. And again, another very important thing is the resume. You have to keep it very brief, to the point, and not explain much about the projects in the resume, so that you have something to talk about during the interview. And again, like, not more than 5 projects I feel should be there in the resume. And those projects should be very the project that about, like you can explain very confidently in the interview, only mention those. So yeah, I think these are the few tips I would like to give all, and yeah, all the best to everyone who is looking for a job.
Okay, thank you so much again. And
Thank you for having me.